All right, you had some questions about filters. It's actually quicker for me to make a video than it is to type it up, and it's easier anyways. So I actually have three types of filters on my tank. I need to clean my glass on here, but you know, whatever. I have a canister filter. This is what I would recommend. This is an FX2. It's way bigger than what you would need. These are awesome. I clean this out about once a month. It's great for biological filtration. What it's not great for is mechanical filtration. If you look in my water, you can see all sorts of suspended crap that's in the water, okay? That's not that common unless you have like a whole bunch of decaying organic material, like I have all of this wood in here that just slowly decays over time. So what I have decided to do is last week I went out and I researched and I bought a new hang on the back filter to go along as well. I bought one of these Marineland penguin things. It's one of the BioWheel ones. We used to sell these when I worked at Mr. Aquarium 20 years ago, and this is what was popular. What I like about these, if you open them in the back, they have this wheel that goes around when it's on, and it has two filter cartridges that you can change out one at a time. You don't really need to replace them as often as they say, just take them out and rinse them in the sink. My issue with this is a 125-gallon tank that this is hooked up to, and I would highly recommend having like a little power grid like this. When I turn it on, you hear how loud that is? Well, that is because this particular filter is sitting up high, if I can get back to that, off of the tank, okay? It should be able to sit lower, but it can't. This was really designed for a smaller tank, and I can't get a good angle on it. But since this is 125 gallons, the thickness of the lid plastic rim around here is such that that can't get close enough to the water to not make a trickling sound. So you can hear this now, okay? If you have a hang on the back filter, as the water goes down, you're going to hear this. The thing that I really like about the canister filter is it's quiet. I have a small output back there, and I have a small intake. There are different sizes over here, okay? As far as cleanliness, quietness, it's what I would recommend. Since you have the water intake under the water line and the water return under the water lane, they're completely silent. It's what I would recommend for anybody with the budget for one. The third type I have is I have a sponge filter in here, okay? These are super easy to maintain. All I do with that is I dump it in a bucket once a week and just squeeze out a few times and throw it back in. Those are great for biological filtration. When I set up this tank, one thing that you should not do is if you put in gravel and sand, make sure you rinse it first. I forgot to do that with this, and I've been forever just slowly getting sort of mud coming out of it. But that just runs off of a cheapo air pump. Air pumps are going to be noisy no matter what kind you get. You can put a little something on it underneath it like that to help it quiet down. But a canister filter, this would be way overkill for the size tanks you're looking at. But any of the Fluval ones are highly recommended. You shut these off here, unplug it, unscrew those 6 things, and then this thing is like a bucket you take out and you rinse out a bunch of media that looks like little pieces of hollow gravel. But like I said, I need to clean out my tank a little bit better right now. I generally do it really good. I only clean the glass about once a month, and it's time to do that again. But as far as maintaining this, this is 125 gallons. I do a 10-gallon water change every week. It's really easy to siphon out with a hose. It takes about 10 minutes. And I have the plants in here, obviously. They're all doing fairly well. I have plants above the tank too. That's new for this year. They're all doing well excepting that guy, but he's not hooked up in the fish tank anyways. Other things I would recommend, you can get these mag floats. If you do end up getting a magnet cleaner, get the mag floats. The good thing about these is these actually float. The other ones will sink if you drop it, so every time your kid comes along and messes with it, they'll drop it into the tank and then you got to pull it out. One thing I will say about these though is don't let kids play with these, even though I know they want to help. What I've seen 50,000 times is people will take these, the kids will get down in the gravel, a little piece of gravel will get caught in it, and then they'll streak the whole tank back and forth and scratch the heck out of it. I like glass tanks. They're less easy to mess up than the acrylic ones. Let's see what else. For my plants, dumping some fertilizer in there once a week. Feed them every day like you think you would. Give them frozen food as treats. You'll see for biological filtration, stuff like this being dumped into a like that canister filter is full of stuff like that, and that's just because this has a ton of surface area in it for bacteria. When you buy dechlorinator, buy Prime. It's what we used at the fish store 20 years ago. It's still the best thing out there. This is a general community tank. Everybody in here gets along with everybody else. This is at a little bit cooler temperature than most fish tanks, but you could keep this at 70. Any of these fish at 78 degrees. Some fish are cool to look at, swim around. These guys are looking at me because they think I'm getting ready to feed them, which I guess I will. These tank lights are all on a timer. These are all hooked up via Wi-Fi, real fancy. You can just get a cheap kitchen timer. That's actually what I'm getting ready to hook up for my hang on the back filter, just something like this. So this hang on the back filter I'm only going to have on at night. Normally you'd have it on 24/7, but it's loud and it bothers people, and I got 2 other filters. I got my roseline sharks. You can get schooling fish, like these guys like hanging out with each other. If you look down there in the corner, I want to say that little guy is a baddest fish, or Dario, depending on where you're looking at. I really like those. It's like a little miniature cichlid that gets along with everybody. Some fish are more fun to watch for their behavior. Some are just prettier to look at. That's what I would call a behavior fish. Some fish just have a different personality. I have some friendlier community cichlids. Those guys are really shy. I got some Florida flagfish there. There was 1 or 2 live bears up there. Some of these guys swimming left and right are a few different types of rainbow fish. And I've got, just throwing out here, I've got one blue crayfish in here, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend as a good community guy. But, you know, there's all sorts of different little odds and ends you can throw in. I'd stay away from, don't get crabs that like to crawl out of the tank and die. But any of the little freshwater shrimp, so long as you don't have big fish, will get along just fine. Let's see, I got a honey gourami right there. That's what I would call a personality fish. He acts completely different. Some of these guys, like these roseline sharks, will just swim around in circles all day, and they're pretty, but they get kind of boring. Some of these other guys have more of a personality. Like this guy here, you were asking about, do I really need sand if I have stuff that goes in the bottom? What are we calling this? Corridorus catfish. They do just fine with gravel like this. But happy to answer any other questions. Nerd out on fish. Like I said, I worked at a pet store for a few years in college. What I was saying with plants, that scared me for a minute, and nutrient export. This is just water lettuce. You'll see tiny little green things in here that people call duckweed. Fish food to fish waste turns into ammonia. Ammonia turns into nitrites. Nitrites turn into nitrates. The only way to get rid of nitrates is through water changes or plants. Stuff like this will suck up and use the, and you see I got some other loose plants in there. We'll use the nitrates as fertilizer to grow, and you can see I've got a bunch of stuff growing out of the top of the tank too. And I will literally take this and throw a big bunch like this away every week, just because it grows so much. And I'm doing that as nutrient export. The stuff that grows in the gravel itself doesn't pull out as much, but it does pull out a little bit. But there's my big, happy, healthy fish tank spiel. If you were asking me what sort of fish tank I thought you should get, you mentioned 29 gallons, a great size, 40 breeders, another great size. This particular fish tank is 125 gallons. I want to say it's 6 by 18 by 18. I wouldn't necessarily go with something this big. 40 breeders are really good starter size, and if you do end up switching over to saltwater in the future, you're probably going to want a different or new tank anyways, so I really wouldn't even make that a consideration. Oh, there's Thrawn, at least that's what the kids call him. Like I said, not necessarily a great community guy, but super fun and interesting. You talk about different little interesting things. I got a bristlenose plecostomus. Bristlenose plecostomus are the ones you want, not the regular ones. If you get one, make sure it's a bristlenose because they don't get nearly as big. But this is the second batch of eggs he's sitting in there guarding. But great hobby. Let me know if there's anything else you want to know.